I think that this was a very good conversation, great start, and I really appreciate that you all take it and took it seriously and that you engaged. I just could not be more respectful of all of you in the way that you have done that. I do want to put one practical issue on the table that doesn't have to be answered tonight, but I just want to say it because it's an awkwardness, and that is, if this goes to Law and Ledge, which I intended to do, I'm not a member of Law and Ledge, and I'm told that I can't then present it to Law and Ledge and engage and answer the questions. And that seems odd to me because I'm the purported author of this. And there's got to be a way that can be worked in some way, just so I can participate in the committee process in some way. I don't need an answer tonight, but I just want to put it out there because I don't know how this gets heard by a committee. It can be heard without me. Heck, you guys can all write it. It's fine. But I would assume that you might want my input, and then I can't talk to everybody. So I don't know. I just wanted to raise that to think about. And this doesn't have to go to Law and Ledge within the next week. So we've got time to figure that out. I just want to say that. Let me talk about the merits here for a moment. I think it was acknowledged by everybody tonight, and it's clear from the testimony that we are together in wanting to solve the problem, but you're right, we have different points of view to how to get there. And it may be oversimplified, but if there is a division in this community and in this city, it's one side that says this is a humanitarian crisis and we must care for the people. And that's where they put all of their attention. And then there are others who say, yes, of course we care about the people, but that the city needs to be cleaner and safer, and that these tent encampments are unhealthy and unsafe. And my effort here is an attempt to do what I think is essential, which is to actually link the issue of building housing capacity for people to get people off the street so that people are cared for, have a better chance at life, and at the same time, our city is cleaner and safer. I don't think either side is wrong, but I think any proposal has to merge the two together. Because if we don't, we're not going to bring the community together. There won't be consensus on this council. And frankly, we won't solve the problem. Because I still don't see or understand how enforcement and moving people from one encampment to another solves any problem except to move people around and provide temporary relief from where a campsite was moved. But this is not about moving encampments to me. That's not what my motivation is. It's not what drives this. It's not what my work as mayor has been about, and it's not what my life's work has been about. Because Councilmember Valenzuela, who had some very constructive comments, including some critical comments, acknowledged, and I appreciated it, that I wrote this in a way to sequence the right and the obligation. That the right comes first. And only when the right is fulfilled can the obligation even be considered. And I'm grappling, just like with all of you, about how to house more people, plain and simple, end of story. And yes, maybe what we need to do, and I'll put this out there for some thought and consideration, maybe we need to go through a 6-month comprehensive permanent housing process like we did for homeless solutions, so that we are really putting our effort into identifying more sites and more strategies for building more permanent housing with SHRA, of course, and with Danielle Foster and with our team, so that we can get to more units. And by the way, manufactured housing and tiny homes, permanent tiny homes, had better be a part of that, because we can't build fast enough, and we don't have the money to do conventional affordable housing. But this is sequenced. And there's something to work with there in the way that it is sequenced. I agree with Councilmember Harris. I would support a right to treatment. You better believe I would. It was one of the great historic wrongs when in the 1960s, the state legislature wrote the Lanterman-Petrus Short Act and gave an entitlement to care and treatment for the developmentally disabled. That was good, but did not give the same right to treatment for people living with serious mental illness. That's wrong, but that is the law. But the city cannot mandate treatment, and the only thing, or cannot give a right to treatment. Housing is the best proxy that we have. I part with some of the folks, whether the business community or colleagues, who say, please move people along without an alternative. But here's where I part from some of the activists and some of the advocates, who I know are my great critics, and you'll be till the end, my last day as mayor. And so be it. Hopefully we'll get to know each other and we'll at least see each other's hearts. I think I see yours. I do not agree that dignity includes living in squalor in the cold and the heat. I don't agree with it. I don't agree that living unsheltered in any form is safe or healthy. And so if I have to choose between what you call autonomy and driving to get people in a safer place, I'm going to choose health and safety. That's my balance, different from yours. Mark Maron, who I have the greatest respect for, talks about, this plan is going to just enable people to live in tents instead of permanent housing. You're the one who suggested safe ground in the first place. Of course, the goal is permanent housing, but we all recognize that we need interim solutions in order to create the pathway and the process for people to get to permanent housing. Everything should be done with dignity. Everything should include pets, partners, and possessions. And when Law and Ledge takes this up, I would ask you to amend that into whatever ordinance that you might consider. Finally, I think the most constructive comment here tonight was made by several council members who asked essentially, what is the timeline and cost of implementing the comprehensive siting plan? That, I think, is the most important comment made tonight. And by the way, the siting plan and my ordinance does not say follow the siting plan to the T. It says get to the number, 5,125 beds. And I think, I'll tell you, if we can articulate, as we talked about at the beginning, the timelines for this plan, adding the additional sites that are being considered, taking some sites off that can't work, putting the dollars, the city and county dollars next to that site with a timeline, that might be a good enough reason to put off the effective date of any right to housing or obligation to accept it, because we will then be organized towards moving the needle in the way the comprehensive siting plan suggests. I thought that was a very constructive suggestion, and I thank all the members who made it. Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you bringing up that last point here, and I've heard from 5 different council members tonight about status of the siting plan, the cost and whatnot, and we are putting that together. That is going to be coming back. I want to be very clear that when the council adopted the siting plan, those sites that were adopted were being vetted by the staff at that point after it was approved. And so, as you mentioned, there are many of the sites that have complicating factors, some that will not work, some that we can prioritize based on readiness, efficient service delivery. But there's also, I count at least 4 significant sites that are not on there. And so to your point, if we can work towards those numbers, as opposed to the site specifics that are complicated by a whole host of issues, then I think that's helpful for the public to know. And I just really want to convey that our team has been working, August 10th going forward. We've been in countless meetings and trying to work through a lot of the, I think we're calling it the red tape with other agencies, with the state, with the feds. And so I think we're going to come up here very shortly with some announcements that it's going to show the partnership that we've been building with the county.
Yeah.
And a lot of progress. So
and you and your team are working your hearts out, and yes, I am excited about what is upcoming in terms of some breakthroughs. Final comment of the night: cutting through all of this, as a city, as a state, as a society, housing should be a legal right. It should be a legal right. It should not just be an economic commodity that if you can afford it, you have it. If you're lucky enough to win the supportive housing lottery, you get it. It should be a right. And I hope that that message goes beyond this city and is something that sparks a conversation at the state legislature, in the Congress, and beyond. Because when it matters enough, when it matters enough to society and to its governments, we say we mandate it, we require it. And that's not the case here with housing. Thank you all again for your indulgence and for a great conversation.